What the fuck is up, YouTube? We over here in our Ukraine news. Welcome to our final segment of the News Underground, the beefiest and fattest one we got. At least 2 hours worth, baby, of Ukraine coverage. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see if we hit 2 hour mark. Usually we do. Well, we got big news out of Bakhmut. We got big news from your boy, the baby adult version of Fester from Fester's Quest, the Nintendo game based off the Adams Family property, Prigozhin. We got Carterites entering the fray. No word from Putin. Putin's kind of been quiet on all this, hasn't he? He's got Prigozhin talking all kinds of shit. Let's do a little fun in the chat. How many months does Prigozhin have left to live? Huh? How many? Everyone, put your guesses in the chat. How many months does Prigozhin have left to live? Called Putin grandpa and possibly stupid asshole or something like that. He said, well, he might be an asshole. Two months. We got 2 months here. We got 2 months. I'm gonna go 1.5. I'm gonna undercut you a little bit. I'm gonna say 1.5. I think as soon as Wagner has been replaced on the front line, basically as soon as Prigozhin's usefulness is diminished, where he's no longer needed to command these troops, we're gonna see him slipping on a banana peel or something. The hackers have been busy. This is some great footage. I definitely wanted to start off the stream with this. Hackers, we've seen footage from literally inside the Kremlin, Zoom meetings or some kind of meeting software that was compromised by hackers, and we got footage from some rather uninteresting office meeting about office supplies or some shit, right? Nothing too juicy, nothing like Putin slamming on the desk or something. We didn't get any of that. But hackers have done it again, and they found a bunch of vulnerable security cameras in Russia. It's very common. You can find it in the United States as well. Cheap consumer security cameras that they don't update the firmware, so there's a bunch of security holes, and then you can take over the camera. In this case, these cameras also had microphones. So the Ukrainian hackers, or whoever these hackers are that support Ukraine, came in here and blasted an air raid siren, Zelensky's speech, and a Ukrainian song that is called "Oh in the Meadow, Red Viburnum." Speakers. Sorry, they have microphones because you can actually hear the audio, but speakers, yes. So that they're. I think I know the difference between a microphone and a speaker. Maybe we'll get back to you, but no, this is great footage. This is just what we call good TV. Had to start the Ukraine segment off with this bad boy. Yeah, how about you get a little taste of it? Oh, what? The dramatic zoom.
Тем, кто понимает только по-русски. Хотите жить? Бегите. Хотите жить? Сдавайтесь в плен. Хотите жить? Боритесь. Боритесь на своих улицах и за свою свободу.
You know we're trying to kill that guy, right?
У вас и так все забрали. Или у кого-то из вас есть нефтяные вышки, есть дворцы, есть виноградники, а может у вас есть яхты или какой-то банк. Вы за что вообще боретесь? У вас есть только кредиты, что-то вечером пожрать и теперь мобилизация. Боритесь за свое. Не лезьте на нашу землю, в нашу душу и в нашу культуру.
Ой, у лузі червона калина похилилася.
So you can hear it from the microphone on the camera. You can actually hear it reverberate. It's blasting. It's blasting.
Ось наша славна Україна зажурилася.
it's really interesting to see the amount of Russians kind of vibing and jamming to it. You know, it's that's also kind of interesting. You know, the more I see people on the street interviews of people in Russia, the more that I come to the realization that they're just very, very scared. You know, that if there was a democratic, non-authoritarian opportunity for you know, to make change, I think a lot of people in Russia would be okay with that. I don't think the entire country is made up of rabid partisans who will, you know, ride or die for Putin and, you know, hammer and sickle for life, right? They're human beings. They want peace, they want security, they want to be left alone to their own devices. So, you know, that's the case everywhere. Oh, she doesn't like it. So who wants to bet that this Zoomer here left justified? Just so you know, I'm not a communist. Democratic socialist is the box you can put me in. But who wants to bet this guy here gets arrested, right? Because he's all jamming out to this song. He's all, yeah, this is really cool. Who wants to bet this guy gets arrested? I've gathered as much. Well, you're very observant. Gotta arrest him. All right, and then he takes it down, and that's the end of it. But you gotta love it. You gotta love this is what hackers should be doing. This is exactly what hackers should be doing. This is just some amazing footage. I thought this would be really good to show. This is training, paratrooper training in Ukraine. Kind of a beautiful shot at the end here. It's just a 1-minute clip. Yeah, I know. You commies love your hammer and sickle fucking red star bullshit, right? I got all kinds of criticisms about hammer and sickle partisans, right? But we can get into that later. I should do another communist focus stream. The last time I did that, we listened to the whole Communist Manifesto, right? We had some comments on that. That was a fun stream, right? I think it's time we do another commie focus stream. No, the hammer and sickle is not a communist swastika. Let's not get out of hand here. Chem Goblin lives in Ukraine, left justified, and you know, as one would expect, he's not a big fan of Soviet iconography. Can you blame him? Hey, it's fine, left justified. You're free to express yourself as you wish. But yeah, just, you know, Chem Goblin's got a few issues with the Soviet stuff, right? Man, some of these guys, it's kind of violent. For some of them, it's kind of smooth. Oh, that's the beautiful shot right there. Look at that. How cool is that? How cool is that? One more time. Look at that. Wow. What a shot. What a shot, huh? How cool. Look how, just halfway through, one more time. Look how violent it is for some of these guys. They get jerked pretty hard. Oof. Ooh, that one's rough. That guy was, oh, that one's rough. That one was rough. One more time on that one. Look at this one. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oof. Ooh, oh, oh, oh. Oh, you're spinning and tumbling, man. Wow. I've never jumped out of a plane. My wife has actually jumped out of a plane and did some skydiving one time, or a couple times actually. I've never actually done a skydive. I should do a skydive. Oh, okay. A little bit of extra good news. I won't get into the article. You're welcome to read it here if you want. I got friends who were airborne, and they have assured me every time's a shock. Yeah, you just get jerked like you've never been jerked before. Yikes. Just a little bit of good news. You want to read the full article right there. Britain becomes first country to send Ukraine Storm Shadows long-range cruise missiles. So if you've been following the Ukraine news, you know, hey, from Israel, are you going to tell Bibi Netanyahu to free Palestine and to end the open-air prison of the Gaza Strip and return partial ownership of Jerusalem back to the Palestinian people, Mr. Noble? Could you do that for me? Could you go ahead and maybe shoot a letter over to Bibi Netanyahu and tell him to stop his genocidal campaign to destroy the Palestinian people? Could you do that for me, Noble? Quick favor. Anyway, it's some good news. I'm sure you've seen it. We have, yeah, we should probably free Palestine. I'm just saying, maybe we should give that a shot. You know, so we're going to see a little bit more about the Storm Shadow missiles. This more CNN. Sorry, way too much CNN. This episode of the News Underground. I apologize, but this was a very good. This was posted in the Discord by a great user. I can't quite remember who posted it, but please let me know if you did. But really great interview. Maybe this is Dirty Crackhead. This might have been from DCH. Anyway, this is a really great interview with a Ukrainian commander. So, are you the one that ordered the IDF to snipe that Palestinian journalist? How do you feel when the IDF snipes like a person in a wheelchair or a teenager? Do you approve of those actions? That like some teenager throwing rocks at a Abrams tank, and then the IDF snipes that person dead? How do you feel about that, Noble? Is that a noble thing to do? To shoot an unarmed child with a high-powered sniper rifle? Just wondering. Just curious.
Our world lead brings us to Ukraine now. The fight in the city with Europe's largest nuclear power plant, Zaporizhia, is intensifying, according to Ukrainian officials there. They say Russian cluster shells injured 8 civilians in a village nearby. 3 were ambulance workers who had responded to the scene. In a predictable refrain, Russia claims it was targeting deployment points for Ukraine's military. Meanwhile, northeast of Zaporizhia, Ukraine says it's clawed back significant ground in Bakhmut. CNN's Nick Robertson spoke to Ukrainian commanders on the ground who want to set the record straight on which Russian troops retreated first.
By the way, he's going to say it's Wagner. Spoiler alert, it's Wagner. But if I was in Wagner, I'd be running like, I'd be like, what are you talking about? I thought we were pulling out. Now we just said it on video. What was that, Bibi Netanyahu? But no, I mean, if I was Wagner, I'd be running too, you know? Yeah. Curious how Mr. Noble, he's just going to ignore all those things I said about the unavoidable crimes of the IDF. We're just going to not talk about that. Oh, we kill Hamas. We kill terrorists. Homie, this isn't the Bush era. No one thinks you're fighting terrorism, and no one's giving you a big pat on the back either. Okay? You are the enforcer of a boy, fill in the blank. Let's just call it what it is, an apartheid. You work for a military that is enforcing an apartheid against an entire people. You are slowly colonizing that area. No one thinks you're a hero, right? Maybe a few partisans over here, but if you were to have, conversations with most people, they would say what you're doing is wrong. Right? You're not defending yourself by settling someone else's home, right? Were you were you part of the raids into the mosque there during the latest raids in Jerusalem? Did you participate in those raids? Anyway, I'm getting way off. We got some asshole in here from fucking Israel.
At the vanguard of Ukraine's most successful offensive in months,
Cool it
elite
with the
soldiers
anti-Semitic remarks.
storm out of their US-made M113 troop carrier near Bakhmut. Over the following 3 days, they would take back close to 2 miles of eastern Ukrainian territory from Russian troops. Their commander explains, dry ground, new US attack vehicles helping reverse months of losses.
Це було сплановано.
Everything was planned and calculated, and we had an advantage because we used armored vehicles. This time, the weather gave us a chance to use all our might and show what we're capable of.
Yevgeny Prigozhin is saying the reason you took territory is because the Russian forces ran away.
Пригожин брехун.
Prigozhin is a liar because the first to flee were Wagner. It is his units that fled, and our success is not due to the fact that they fled, but the fact that we conducted a planned assault by circumventing and cutting them off.
Sure.
Actually, the unit he is bad-mouthing fought to the end. His Wagners were the first to flee.
Cleaned up and back from the battle, 3 young troop commanders recall the first moments.
I'm asking seriously. Are they 7 years? Are these 7 and 8 year old boys? I mean, honestly, the older I get, 20-year-old guys look like babies. They look like you look like little toddlers to me.
You are nervous. You feel the shivers, Oles says. Every sound scares you, especially the whistle of a mortar shell. With their success, losses too. It is always painful and hard to lose, Bars says, but it doesn't stop us. It makes us angrier, tougher, and gives us motivation to go all the way and not stop. Each of them knows more battles to come. After each fight, morale goes up, then down, then up again, Judo says. You have to motivate them somehow. And this last battle, not done when the Russians were pushed back. They regrouped, rushing in reinforcements. Not for the first time in the days-long fight, US-made weapons making a decisive difference. This time, HIMARS precision rockets.
Резерв знаходився.
Their reserves were too far away, and this allowed us to destroy the enemy, even as we approached them. We used unmanned aerial vehicles to see where they were concentrated, which enabled us to use a HIMARS for a precision strike.
His battalion estimate in their sector of the fight 200 to 300 Russian soldiers killed, but he is quick to acknowledge those soldiers' strengths and says Prigozhin is wrong to discount the Russian army. So their offensive was so successful, in the hours of this morning, another attack was launched around Bakhmut. Now, commanders aren't saying how successful this part of the offensive is being, and interestingly, they're not saying whether or not it's connected with the big expected counteroffensive. But significantly on that, Russia's defense ministry is saying, we're not losing any ground around Bakhmut at the moment, and that's unusual for them to come out publicly and say that. Jake?
All right, Nick Robertson in eastern Ukraine for us. Thank you so much. Meanwhile, brash Russian warlord and Wagner army chief Yevgeny Prigozhin says Ukraine's counteroffensive is already in full swing, but Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says his country needs, quote, a bit more time to launch its counteroffensive while it waits for more Western aid to arrive.
Some are speculating that that statement that Zelensky made recently is a feint, that he's trying to like put people's guard down. I'm not quite sure, I'm not quite sure. I would be doing all kinds of subterfuge and lying, and like I'd be moving troops around, and then knowing full well I was going to attack from the north and moving a bunch of troops to the south. I'd be doing all kinds of stuff like that.
Ukraine has gotten a new major delivery, Britain's modern long-range stealth cruise missiles.
Yeah, look at this
capable of striking deep into Russian-held occupied territory.
So what we're likely to see is that these guys are going to be the true tip of the spear, right? When we see like 10, 20 of these launched in one day, hitting critical military, ammo dumps, fuel dumps, HQs, places where they're planning, maybe even the Kerch Bridge, the Crimean Bridge, then we'll know for sure that the offensive is in full swing. Seems like it's kind of like starting off in kind of like a slow momentum, right? Bakhmut, obviously, we're getting a lot of success out of there.
Which CNN's Jim Sciutto was first to report.
As Ukrainian forces prepare to launch a massive new counteroffensive, they now have a deadly new...
Okay, can we talk about this footage here? There's no way this is proper training. Look, I mean, the homie's too close to this guy shooting off. Look at this. Look how close he is to this guy's legs.
Weapon in their arsenal. See,
bro, you're like 2 inches away from my dick. You're like 2 inches away from my dick with that
deadly
gun,
new
dude.
weapon
Look at that shit. He's like, boom, boom. It's like moving to the left.
in their arsenal.
Bro, yeah, this footage is driving me nuts.
CNN exclusively first reported that Britain has delivered to Ukraine its advanced Storm Shadow cruise missiles, a kind of long-range
you feel the
capability
wind of the
Kyiv
bullet
has
on your
long been
dick.
pleading for.
The donation of these weapon systems gives Ukraine the best chance to defend themselves against Russia's continued brutality.
The Storm Shadow gives Ukrainian forces the ability to strike deep behind Russian lines.
Ooh,
Western
these things
official
are
called it
nasty.
a
Hold on, the lower third kind of hides this, but look.
ability to strike
So
deep.
these things actually have 2 warheads. The first warhead is for penetration, and then the second warhead is once the rocket has cleared the wall, it then does a second detonation. It happens in milliseconds, right? Keeping my eyes peeled for the patches.
Behind Russia.
So yeah, so the first one is a penetration, and then the explosion happens after that.
A Western official called it a proportionate response
It
to
is.
Russia's targeting of civilian infrastructure.
Yeah, a little late if you ask me. Where was this shit a month ago?
However, Ukrainian forces have
All right, hold on. I got to make sure the censored is up for this, just in case they show the bodies in the
pledged
trench on
to
this
fire
one.
the missiles only inside Ukrainian sovereign territory, not to attack Russia
Okay, yeah,
itself.
they cut
While
the
the U.S.
bodies
has
out.
so far refused to provide Ukraine with long-range missiles,
Ooh, look at those
such as
HIMARS.
the ATACMS, for fear of sparking Russian retaliation,
Or is
the
that an
UK has been
ATACM?
more forward-leaning with its weapon supplies. In recent months, the UK provided modern Western Challenger 2 tanks.
Wow. What the hell is it? He has some kind of like weird lizard skin. What the hell is
Recent
this?
months, the UK
What is this? What is this covering?
provided
Is it camouflage? It seems like it's too thick to be just another camouflage.
modern Western Challenger 2 tanks before the U.S. decided to supply its own Abrams tanks. The Storm Shadow is a cruise missile, typically launched from the air with stealth capabilities. It has a range in excess of 155 miles, 3 times the range of U.S.-provided missiles.
The Storm Shadow's capabilities are really complementary to what the Ukrainians are planning to do with their spring offensive. It's able to use video imagery to target actual areas that they're going after.
Still, the U.S. Secretary of State has said that Ukraine already has what it needs to be successful.
My own estimation is that they have in place across all of those dimensions what they need to continue to be successful in regaining territory that was seized by force by Russia over the last 14 months.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, on the other hand, has said his country is not quite ready, saying
No, and he can't relent. He can't, it's really very smart what he's doing in terms of diplomacy, right? Because he's being very respectful. He's saying thank you very much for all your support and thank you. And he's encouraging his subordinates to, to be just as respectful as he is. So that's all very, very smart. But he can't let them like, oh, okay, you're good. Your obligations are done, right? Okay, you gave me those things and you can chill. Like, he really can't afford to have any country get complacent, right? He said, everyone's on board. I need your full attention, and I'm probably gonna be knocking on your door in a couple months to ask for more, right? So that's why he has this mentality. He's playing this whole thing right. Like, the whole reason why he's getting these Storm Shadow cruise missiles is because he showed restraint in not attacking Russian civilian targets. He could have been launching all kinds of mortars and stuff across the border. He's had opportunities. He's attacked military targets already in Russia, right? That was an opportunity to drop some bombs on an apartment building, or do your own little mini buka, right? Get some revenge. I'm sure it's very tempting to do that. But Zelensky has shown an incredible amount of restraint, ordering his subordinates to show that same restraint as well. And this is the reward he gets, because what America doesn't want is Zelensky firing one of these cruise missiles into a school in Russia, right? It's really, really bad PR. As long as it's Ukraine good guy, Russia bad guy, Zelensky will get everything that he wants. But the moment Ukraine starts, like I said, killing civilians, getting revenge, you're going to hear France and Germany immediately be like, pull out. We're done supporting this effort, right? If there was even one Buka from Ukraine, and I'm not saying, blah, 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 right? None of it's right, but you know what I mean, right? It really wouldn't take much if Zelensky just got even a little bit of revenge. It wouldn't take much for the Western community to I don't know if I want this heat. I think the Russian people are victims of their tyrannical authoritarian government. And I think the people on the street interviews that I've shown from Russia show me that some people have balls of steel and no, fuck Putin. But a lot of people, if you see, they're like, I don't want to answer this question. I don't want to talk. I'm not allowed to talk about this. So personally, I feel like a lot of these civilians of the Russian government are victims of an authoritarian government.
He is still waiting for aid already promised.
We're expecting armoured vehicles. They arrive in batches. We can advance with what we've got, and I think we can be successful. But we will lose a lot of people. I think that is unacceptable. We need to wait.
As I mentioned, Ukraine has
He's got
pledged
time
to only use...
He's got... What is Russia going to do? Piss their pants harder? He's got time to wait for the gear. He really does. There's a word I'm looking for. Can't quite. Initiative. The initiative is his, right? He's got nothing but time. Russia is literally soiling themselves in front of the entire world. He's got nothing but time. Wait for the gear, right?
Use these new cruise missiles inside Ukrainian sovereign territory. That is, not to strike.
So, left justified. While I do agree that Zelensky did enjoy support of the oligarchy, of the Ukrainian oligarchy, during his election and before the war, are you trying to say that Zelensky's motivations for what he's doing is just him simply being a puppet of an oligarch?
Russia. We should note, Jake, that from the British point of view, Crimea is very much an open target here. They consider that illegally annexed by Russia. And that's strategically important because these missiles potentially put at risk some of Russia's most prized military possessions, the Black Sea Fleet, the entire Crimea port. That could be a real game changer going forward as Ukraine plans this counteroffensive.
Well, a lot of the counter narrative and negative criticism for Zelensky, some of it is earned, but a lot of the criticism is based around this idea that he is just a puppet for the United States and NATO, and that he's just a figurehead for an oligarchy or an empire that is really pulling his strings. Is that the narrative that you're trying to say with this two oligarchs comment? I feel like it's a little bit more complicated than just two oligarchs bashing heads. Well, he absolutely needs the U.S. support, and this is absolutely a proxy war. That doesn't change Ukrainians' motivations to become a democracy. I mean, it sounds like you're a child of history. Surely you've studied the history of Ukraine versus Russia. You know that Ukraine has been looking for an opportunity to get away from the grips of Russia for quite some time. Do you think the Ukrainian soldiers are fighting for an oligarch? Do you think they're fighting and dying for an oligarch, or do you think that they're fighting and dying for what they believe to be an opportunity to be an independent democratic country? Moving on to the next clip here. This is a good one. This fella here from Sky News, this old seahorse, this old war horse here, does a pretty good explanation of the current situation in Bakhmut, so I thought I'd show it.
The first shells in this war first landed on Bakhmut on the 17th of May last year. And that's almost a complete year ago, all but a couple of days. And in that year, Bakhmut has been reduced to a ruin. But this week, it began to change a little bit. There have been some counterattacks by the Ukrainians. On Tuesday, the 5th Assault Brigade actually pushed to the south.
Doesn't mean the people need to be cannon fodder. So you're trying to say that Zelensky is sending his people to die for no reason? Is that what you're trying to say? I don't disagree with the corrupt country in Europe thing. I mean, that's statistically looking at the corruption numbers, it was not very good in Ukraine. We're talking about Ukraine right now. We can do a Russian history, show in a little bit. But yeah, we're kind of talking about Ukraine. I'm not going to get sidelined with a Russian. Or, if you're over here trying to justify Russia's invasion. We're really going to be quoting Noam Chomsky, really? So are you making the argument? We're just going to go ahead and pause this. Pause. Yeah, okay. All right. After that heated debate, we are back with more Ukraine coverage. Of course, to you, it was just a split second that went through. But yeah, just had a long 15-minute debate. Bad actors in the chat trying to use peace as a veil for defeatism. I won't have it. Unironically, both sides, that was pretty cringe.
The first shells in this war first landed on Bakhmut on the 17th of May last year. And that's almost a complete year ago, all but a couple of days. And in that year, Bakhmut has been reduced to a ruin. But this week, it began to change a little bit. There have been some counterattacks by the Ukrainians. On Tuesday, the 5th Assault Brigade actually pushed to the south and around the area of Ivanisk. And that began to outflank Bakhmut to the south. And then the 10th Mountain Brigade, Assault Brigade, the 10th Assault Mountain Brigade, began to push to the north towards Bodenivka. And that created a second locus of attack. And what is happening in Bakhmut now may become irrelevant if...
It took Russia months to get this territory, and Ukraine's taking it back in days.
The Ukrainians are able to complete the circle. If they're able to push both north and south of Bakhmut and surround the Russians who are bombarding the city. We'll see. It might be a big ask, but undoubtedly that's what the Ukrainians are trying to do. And they're trying to worry the Russians by launching these quite strong counterattacks north and south of the city. And Russians have clearly withdrawn from those areas to 3 or 4 kilometers away. And they've left the Wagner troops, who are in the middle of Bakhmut, exposed both on north and south, both of those flanks. So the question is this the beginning of the big Ukrainian offensive? Well, it's certainly an offensive action, and to understand it, we need to see it in context with everything else that's going on. And so the Ukrainians might push in the next week or two at Kreminna, where they fought for very strongly, Soledar, which they're quite close to already, Avdiivka, which they've fought very, very hard over, and Vuhledar, where they've withstood constant Russian attacks but not actually given much ground.
If Putin or the Russian military wanted to end this war right now, using a nuclear weapon sure would do that. It wouldn't be the outcome that they think would happen, though. It would give NATO and the entire Western alliance an opportunity to shit on Russia like Russia has never been shit on before. I don't know about full-scale invasion. Some people in my chat have speculated that it would only just be like an elimination of the entire Navy in the Black Sea. I don't. I agree with Davey in our chat, who says he doesn't think even the retaliation, if Russia were to use a nuclear weapon, he doesn't think the retaliation would even be nuclear. It wouldn't need to be. It wouldn't need to be. But yeah, if Russia wants to end this conflict lickety-split, busting out a nuclear weapon would sure do it. And, it wouldn't even change the reality of the front line. I mean, sure, drop a nuke on Kyiv. Is that really going to stop the entire Ukrainian military from wiping the floor wiping the Ukraine wiping the floor with Russia there? Is that going to stop them? No. You might not even end up killing Zelensky, because he'll be huddled away in a bunker. So you're gonna nuke Kyiv and not even kill Zelensky? So I mean, that's, yeah. If and I personally believe, of course no one can ever know for certain, but I personally believe that Russia is well aware of this dynamic. And they'll threaten nukes all day, but ain't no one foolish enough to launch one for obvious reasons.
And so the Ukrainians might well try to, as it were, push the Russians, pressure them in any one of these places
the reality
to make
of the
Russians
battlefield.
commit their reserves so that they can see where the gaps are going to open up. But this is only one front in a very big front. If we look at the whole front between Russia and Ukraine, the fighting front, that's 960 kilometers long. And anywhere along that front, the Ukrainians might try to launch their offensive, maybe up in the northern part, the northeast, in Kharkiv province, maybe to push much more strongly in the Donbass to get back a lot of the territories that they have lost. Quite likely somewhere in the south, if they can, to cut the land bridge between the Donbass and Crimea, which is just off this map to the south, or maybe in the southwest, in Kherson, where they already did very well before Christmas. They might try to get across the Dnieper River. When commanders are thinking about this, they have to think about how to fool their opponent. It's like a game of chess between commanders. How to as it were, feint and decoy to make the other side commit more troops quickly in order to see where the gaps are. And that game of chess looks as if it's beginning now in...
Yeah, no, Sky News isn't great, but at the News Underground, we show news from all different sources. Western, independent, corporate, all that stuff.
Bakhmut. The Ukrainians have a good reason to try to hold Bakhmut for symbolic reasons, but I bet this is not the locus of the main attack. It may be part...
We'll be ending the stream with a map analysis from a YouTuber called Reporting from Ukraine. This will be an independent map analysis that's pulling independent sources of reports from the battlefield. So we're going to get both this corporate opinion and also an independent opinion of what's happening on the battlefield.
Part of it, but I bet this is only part of a preliminary process that the Ukrainians are going through. Meanwhile, at the other end of the world, the politics of this goes on. In South Africa, this ship, the Lady R, which is a ship belonging to a Russian transit company called Transmorflot.
It's so sad to see Africa, get closer to Russia during this, but can you blame them? Can you blame Africa for getting closer to Russia? Has the United States, as the Western Alliance, been helping out? Britain, UK over here, no comment. Got the crown jewels with a bunch of stolen gems from Africa in there, right? So is it any wonder why they would, get closer to Russia?
Which is already sanctioned by the United States.
The countries of Africa?
Company in the US view. And this ship, the Lady R, came down the west coast of Africa, docked with its transponders turned off in Simonstown, which is the naval base next to Cape Town in South Africa. It unloaded and loaded during the night, only ever during nighttime hours. And then, again, with its transponders off, it left and is on its way back, or has been on its way back for some time now, to the Black Sea. And so this is a ship behaving very suspiciously on behalf of Russia. The Americans this week said that this ship, they think, is carrying arms from South Africa.
I like Donald Trump as much as I like drinking hot diarrhea.
To Russia. And that's a big political issue for both South Africa and the United States. The South African government have said, well, we'll investigate it. There's something wrong here, but we don't believe that that's the case. The Americans have gone public on this, which is actually quite a big thing to do. And South Africa is going to be embarrassed by this because officially South Africa is neutral in the war, but its neutrality has been questioned by Visitor Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia, not so long ago, joint exercises with Russia and with China a couple of months ago, and the general attitude which the South African government takes towards the war. This is one big diplomatic spat at the moment. I think it'll run for a while yet, but it indicates a much bigger battle which is taking place as the Ukrainian offensive gets going, and that is the battle for world opinion. The battle between the Western view of this war, that it's a fundamentally important war about freedom, democracy, and the march of the dictatorships in the world, as opposed to the global South, and South Africa is a very important country in the global South, who just don't see it.
Glenn Greenwald has proven himself to be a total pro-Russian almost asset, man. Medea Benjamin over here on Democracy Now! Oh, Ukrainians should give up immediately. And Aaron Mate embarrassing himself. Embarrassing himself. Embarrassing himself, dude. Aaron Mate over here embarrassing himself. Used to be quite an up and comer there, working with Democracy Now. Ugh. I hate how Democracy Now platforms Medea Benjamin. She has nothing of value to add to the conversation anymore. You know, when she was doing her work at the start of the Iraq War, I was 100% on board with Code Pink. And now to see her and Roger Waters and a bunch of others, defend Russia's invasion of Ukraine, veiling that defense of an illegal invasion under the guise of peace. Oh, I just want peace. All war is bad. It's disgusting. And here's Left Justified over here, going right along with it. Oh, yeah, I just want peace. I just want peace. I don't know. I don't get into, you know what I mean? The people that speculate, like they say, oh, TYT is funded by Soros. I don't fucking know. Oh, right-wingers funding TYT. I don't fucking know. All I see is their reporting. All I see is what they're actually trying to achieve. Ukraine, the strategic significance of Vuhledar. So some are speculating that the offensive might start in Vuhledar. Russia certainly thinks so. They've been setting up a lot of defenses around Vuhledar. So let's get an update here and see. I won't be able to play the whole DW article because DW has the nice habit of DMCAing me. I guess DW has such little respect for their own reporting that they don't like the idea of other people showing it to other people. I never understood this massive news corporation desire to stop the dissemination of news, right? They cover news, they broadcast news, and then they stop everyone else from broadcasting, their news, their logos, their the reporters that they paid for and the coverage that they paid for. Stop talking about. You're not allowed to talk about that. Like, what is DW getting? DW is government funded. They don't even ask for donations. Why are you spending money on lawyers that are scouring the internet to cut your content out? Oh, take us out of the conversation, says the news organization, says the multinational news organization. Stop talking about the stuff that we talk about. You know what I mean? It's antithetical to their purpose.
For several months.
Yeah, the turf stuff coming out of TYT has been very troubling, amongst many other. I dropped TYT in 2016 when they had Emma Vigeland up there. Pretending like Elizabeth Warren was like a progressive, whoa, right? Remember that? Remember TYT having fun with the idea that maybe Bernie is a sexist? Oh my fucking god! Of course, some of the hosts disagreed with that. Anna Kasparin disagreed with that, and the guy as well, the guy that's on there all the time. But yeah. I remember Emma Vigeland getting up there making an argument for Elizabeth fucking Warren, right? I was like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm done with your wolf pack. I'm done with this fucking network.
Clashes along the front lines of the Russia-Ukraine war have intensified, notably in the Donetsk region.
That's a great point about Olympic coverage.
Russia last year tried to claim it had annexed. The Ukrainian army is trying to hold the defensive line before launching an expected counterattack. The town of Vuhledar has seen fierce tank battles with Ukrainian troops in the city, preventing advances by the Russian military.
The front lines near Vuhledar. Here in the southern Donbass region, the Ukrainian army has been battering Russia's forces. But now Ukraine could try to break through with a major offensive. Trucks bring a steady stream of military equipment to the front. Artillery wars like this are
nothing worse, man. You're digging up some. Oh man, you're making me so mad. Oh man, I've never been more mad in my life than in 2016 during the Bernie campaign. Right? I have like PTSD.
Usually won by the side with better supply lines.
Oh no, I'm just playing.
The Ukrainians are firing now. They can match Russia's firepower, thanks to increased weapons deliveries from the West.
I've been here for a year now. The Russians had been shooting at us all the time, and we had little to counter them with. But recently the situation has changed. Now, thanks to Western support, the tables have turned.
This mother still lives here with her daughter, despite the fighting. They didn't follow the calls to evacuate. She doesn't want to explain why. For the Ukrainian military, civilians on the front lines are a burden.
It's tough.
I understand that it's hard to start a new life. You need money and resources, but anything is better than being killed, and these people are in our way. We can't fight at full strength. We can't position our artillery next to their houses because there will be return fire. It'd be much easier if they weren't here.
It's a total rock and a hard place situation with this right here, because the civilian, like, you know, puts themselves directly in danger, but they get to potentially maybe keep their house, right? But if they move away, it's like uprooting your life. You got to leave your possessions behind. They might get burned down. Russia's building facilities for American expats or some crap propaganda. I know Russia is recently put out some propaganda that said, you know, Russia's the best place. Everyone's moving to Russia. You know, I recently heard them say that, but I haven't heard anything of what you're saying.
Soldiers use abandoned houses as shelter, often in tight quarters with just a kitchen, a bathroom, and space for a handful of fighters. They spread out their ammunition stores, so if one gets hit, it won't destroy the entire...
Oh, could Nick Fuentes please? Could Jack, what's his name on Twitter? Jack something Prozabek, is that his name? Could they please move to one of these? Could they please? Right, all these right-wing conservatives in America that are like, I'd rather have Putin than a Democrat. Could they please move to a fucking migrant village built for them by the fucking Kremlin in Russia? You get full Russian citizenship. Come on in, brother. Land of freedom, freedom and honey over here. Could they please do that?
Stockpile.
Ooh, those are nasty.
All of us here got used to explosions. Everything flying over your head. If you're resting and hear that it's far away, you can keep resting.
This guy would play a mean Count Dracula. Am I wrong? This guy is screaming Dracula to me. Kind of got that vampire shit going on.
The soldiers have been fighting hard for weeks for the strategically important Vuhledar. Soon the time might come for them to mount a major offensive.
Is that his blood type on his shirt? Oh, really? No shit? Well, that tells you how real shit is out there. He's type O? Yeah. O. Is that negative or positive? Is that positive? The vertical line? Maybe negative would be horizontal? Boy, that tells you everything, doesn't it? Shit is so real at type O negative. Wow. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. That shit's real out there, man. This is a big boy war. It's fucking World War I style trenches, fucking, you know, Terminator, Skynet style drone warfare, you know, combines with World War I trench warfare with a bunch of Cold War and World War II fucking politics, you know, surrounding the whole thing. Man, I tell you, if you're not a student of history, if you're not studying the past, it you know, the present might seem like whatever, might mundane, but if you understand the past and where all these motivations are coming from, you would understand just how epic what is happening right in front of us, man. This is, you know, this is huge. This is a really big fucking deal, right? Russia is actually getting its nose bloodied for the first time in decades after, you know, threatening the whole world in various ways. Some of it justified, you know, some of the Russian pushback against NATO was totally justified before they invaded, right? And they had Switzerland on their side. They had Germany on their side. France was listening to Russia. People were like, yeah, you know, maybe NATO should chill the fuck out. Maybe NATO should back the fuck up, right? But then Putin invades, and what happens? NATO becomes retroactively correct in every one of its aggressive actions. Every time they said, well, maybe we, they never actually said it, right? We're defensive, we're peace organization. NATO, really? That's why you put a fucking missile on the Russian border in Poland, really? Right? But that's exactly what Putin has done. Retroactively made NATO 100% justified. Yeah, the left justified. I used to agree with the narrative that's, NATO completely out of hand. What the fuck are we doing? I thought we're trying to get along with everybody. Turns out NATO was 100% correct. And because of their employee of the year, Vladimir Putin, who for the first time in decades, got Sweden, or was it Norway? One of those two, right? Got them into NATO finally. It was Norway and now Sweden's up next, or was it Sweden and now Norway? One of those. I can't remember. But I'm just saying Putin has changed history. Putin has changed decades of valid criticism against Finland. I always get those two mixed up. But Vladimir Putin has made decades and decades of valid criticism, right, that a lot of commies can't let go of. He has retroactively made them correct with this full-scale invasion of Ukraine. There's no other way to put it. Right? Look at NATO's actions. Oh, that was pretty aggressive. Well, I guess in this new context, I guess it wasn't. I guess in this new context where Putin will actually legitimately fucking cross a land border and invade your ass with an army, yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe NATO's a little bit justified. Sucks, but that's the reality of it, isn't it?
Nice. If you're resting and...
Strategically important Vuhledar. Soon the time might come for them to mount a major offensive.
Yeah. Let's cross over now to military.
All right, so I just wanted to show that. Sorry, I can't show you this amazing coverage from DW because they will, like I said, DMCA me. They don't want you to see this information. Only from them, because I guess they get money. I don't know. You're getting money here. I don't know. Not a big fan of the tankies on Twitter. I gotta say, I'm not impressed. Folding your arms and waiting around for a revolution. Oh, it'd be so much better if everything was communism. Okay, are you going to work towards that? No, not really. No, not really. I'm not really going to do anything for my communist revolution. Okay, well, I'm not really going to worry about you. I'm worried more about anarchists than I am communists. Shit. Communists can't put their fucking Twitter down for 5 seconds to get out there and march. With that said, the Answer Coalition in San Francisco do put in some good work. Answer Coalition in San Francisco, they do put in some good work. They invaded other countries before Ukraine too, though. No, exactly. No, that's a good point, Chem Goblin. But what I'm trying to say is that, the rest of the world was kind of ignoring Poland and ignoring Ukraine and ignoring some of these border countries because they're like, Russia, they're not irrational. We can work with Russia. They just, they need to have their needs met. They need to be satisfied, that kind of thing. And Putin showed the world that he's irrational, not like, delusional. He's not going to be throwing nukes around, but he's totally willing to invade another country, like old school, man, like 19th century, fucking rolling in with the tanks and digging trenches and all that shit in front of the whole world and being like, what are you going to do about it, motherfuckers? What are you going to do about it? And Putin basically forced the hand of, look at Germany, right? For Germany, for the first fucking time, right, reignited their defense industry, right, and started training doubled the military spending, right, and we have a new member of NATO. Putin basically forced the entire world to wake up. And it's like, well, you're either going to bloody my nose or you're going to let me get away with this. Right? So commies and lefties out there, stop defending Russia right now on this, right? Because we do need nuance on it. I do agree with that. But, man, I just can't get over your both sides, fucking super cornball, cringe-ass response, man. This is not both sides. This is actually one of the clearest moral conflicts I've seen in my life. This is one of the, in my entire life, I've never seen a more clear good guy versus bad guy, even though there's like, no one's a good guy. No one's, no one's truly a bad guy. But I've never seen, this isn't America and Iraq, right? This isn't America and Afghanistan, where it's like, well, I don't really support the Islamic extremists, the terrorists. I don't really support them. I support a person's ability to defend their own home, but it's not like I support their cause. I don't support Uncle Sam. Okay, blowback. Yeah, so be afraid of Russia. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Be intimidated by Russia. Yeah, okay. All right. Sounds pretty defeatist. Sounds pretty defeatist. Mod check. What do you think you're in? You think you're in a legitimate Twitch channel? You're like mod check and like you're like Twitch politics. Oh, are you from Hassan's chat? Are you from Destiny's chat? Are you a Voshite? Oh, I mean, this is the news underground, okay? We're not down for that bullshit. Large Russian military base in Luhansk City just been hit, reportedly with cruise missiles. So this might have been a test run of the Storm Chaser, Storm Cruise, Stormfucker missiles. But yeah, here we have it right here. Not an apartment building, not a hospital, not an elementary school, not a playground, not an old folks home, not a maternity hospital. Nope, none of those things. This one was actually a military target. Go figure. A military target, right? Can't do that. We can't do that. That's not how you do modern war. You have to terrorize the population and get them to bend the knee. That's the only way to fight a legitimate war. Wanted to show, what did I want to show from this? Yeah, no, that's less important. Yeah, I just wanted to show, yeah, here we go. So I just wanted to show some footage right here from your boy, Russian ass fucker. Okay, I'm not allowed to say that, am I? That's what I'm allowed to say. But yeah, here we go. Just some military footage, right? Russia getting its teeth kicked in. Pretty interesting footage here. I look forward to the day when I can wake up and there isn't a fuck ton of fresh combat footage, from Ukraine. I look forward to the day when this conflict is over with. It's so depressing. I've seen way too many Russians commit suicide in a trench. I've seen way too many Russians get their left justified. Are you trying to say that the patch was censored because the Ukrainian is part of a right-wing fascist military? Are you trying to say that maybe they were covering up? Maybe his badge was getting covered up because you didn't want him to. There's a swastika there. Is that what you're trying to say? There couldn't be any other legitimate reason to remove military identification from a soldier on the front lines. There couldn't be any other fucking reason, right? Oh, it's because he's a Nazi. Yeah. I think you think you're clever or something. I think that's what you think. I don't think so. I don't think you're as clever as you think you are. No, you didn't. You didn't say it, did you? No, true. You're very clever. Very clever indeed. Ooh, god damn. Well, in China, if China, ooh, dude, is that the fucking, those are the rockets cooking off. Holy shit buckets. Oh my god. Yeah, those are the rockets cooking off. Random chaos theory. how cute moles and gophers can be. Get it? I get it. You're funny. Here today on the Underground News, we have some great subterranean tunnels we're going to show you. These were built expertly. Like, I'm obsessed with the Large Hadron Collider, right? It's this massive ring built underground. But no, nothing worth in your comments to China there. If China, or I'm sorry, random chaos theory. If China is smart enough not to invade Taiwan, it can continue with its bullshittery. You know what I mean? China can continue to be belligerent and, insulting towards the West as long as they don't cross that line. As long as they don't cross that line. No, exactly. And why? Well, China, a representative from the Chinese government would give you 10 solid reasons, according to them, why they would want to invade Taiwan. Well, I think one thing that's pretty belligerent is not acknowledging Taiwan's independence. You don't think that's belligerent? You don't think there's anything menacing about a country as big as China making a point to say this country does not exist? You don't think there's nothing belligerent about that? Well, that's just a lie. Okay. I think I'm done with you, Left Justified. I think we're done. Do you have anything else you'd like to say before I ban you and move on with my life? I'm kind of done with you. Give you one more comment here. Because now we're defending China's authoritarianism. We're having fun playing fun footsie here with Russia's authoritarianism. Now we're flirting around with supporting China. You're basically just a full-blown communist. So kind of done with you. Go ahead. I'll give you one more comment before I let you go. There we go. Okay, so there you go, folks. There we go. Taiwan doesn't deserve independence. It's part of China. But I don't know. All right. Well, thank you so much, Left Justified, for derailing my stream. We're going to go ahead and get back to it. I am absolutely fucking sick of commies. Commies are the commies on Twitter and social media that are pretending to be supporters of peace while posting pictures of Mao and Stalin and a bunch of other shit. And China did nothing wrong. U.S. supports one China policy. Really, that's why they're supporting Taiwan. That's why they're giving all that support to Taiwan. Obfuscating, gaslighting right there. U.S. supports China's one China policy. U.S. supports China's one China policy. Really, that's why we've been bending over backwards to do everything we can to help Taiwan. Really. Gaslighting and obfuscating these fucking commies. These fucking commies, man. You can't trust them. You can't fucking trust them. Gaslighters, fucking bad actors in my chat. Oh, I don't know, it's total maybe an invasion of China's not being belligerent, but let me defend China in case it invades Taiwan. But China's not being belligerent, guys. But, it would be totally justified if China were to invade Taiwan. Absolutely sick of these people. Aaron Mate, Noam Chomsky, he was an anarchist, by the way. But Marxists like Richard Wolff, can't trust them, man. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if Ukraine should defend itself. I don't know if that's okay. 100 years ago, Ukraine was part of Russia. So maybe I don't know. I just want peace. This war should end as soon as possible. So maybe Ukraine should give up. So motherfucking tired of them. I am an honest actor. I'm an honest actor. So let me explain why we have to let Putin win. Unsatiable, goddamn. This is really insane. Little bit of a story here. Little kind of story of the strange and weird. The Ukrainian military, while digging trenches, discovered the remains of soldiers from World War II. They dug a lot of trenches in World War II, but of course World War I is the war that's best identified with the trenches and going over the top and all that. But of course there was plenty of trenches dug in World War II as well. And I don't think we have any independent analysis that this could have been like a mob hit. You know what I mean? This could have been a farmer who needed to get rid of a body. We don't know. We don't know that these are World War II bones. You know what I mean? With that said, it's pretty wild. Pretty wild stuff. They might have, found some femurs and like a shoulder. That's a fucking big old bone sticking out of there. No, it's Ukraine, not Vegas. Yeah, so I mean, there's no way to know that these guys are from World War II yet. Wow, what a story! If these bones are actually from World War II, what a story! You know, in a similar piece of news that's actually more gruesome, some Russians, this is not independently verified, but some Russians have reportedly been digging their trenches and discovered the bodies of their fallen comrades being used in the construction of the trenches. Like they didn't have time to bury them, and they didn't have time to get rid of the body, so they just put the body, like they, as part of the barricade inside the trench. We'll see how true that is. Maybe that's just propaganda. But yeah, that story came out about a month ago about the Russian discovering other freshly dead Russian soldiers in the walls of his trench. Pretty wild stuff. Dylan Burns posted something. How do people feel about Dylan Burns? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Dylan. I actually don't know how I feel. But this is pretty funny. This is a Japanese dub of Prigozhin's famous, I'm a big bald baby speech. Turn this up. Tradition of underestimating their opponents. Finland, Germany, Ukraine. True. Yeah, I mean, Russia, it really does. It's so like brutalistic and simple. The like how Russia fights its wars. They're just like throw humans at it, throw bodies, just throw as many bodies as humanly possible, and eventually we'll win. Eventually, the enemy's trigger finger will get tired.
お前らの子供は YouTube 動画を撮って人生を楽しんでいる。弾薬が 70% 不足している。Шойгу! Герасимов! 弾薬は一体どこにあるんだ? お前らの子供は YouTube 動画を撮って人生を楽しんでいる。
Am I allowed to laugh at this?
弾薬が 70% 不足している。Шойгу! Герасимов! 弾薬は一体どこにあるんだ?
Oh my God. That is, am I allowed to laugh at that? I hope so. That is really funny. Just in case, if you think, because like Donald Trump has kind of flip-flopped on Ukraine, right? Kind of giving himself credit and then not giving himself credit. But I think this is pretty clear. He was asked 3 times at CNN's town hall. At CNN's town hall, he was asked 3 times if he wanted Ukraine to win the war, and just couldn't give a straight answer on it. It's so weird too, right? Because you would think, oh man, the right wingers, man, these guys, they hate communists, right? They're McCarthy and all that, right? They can't stand communism, right? And even though Russia's not officially a communist state, but right, it's they'll call Joe Biden a communist, right? I mean, come on, right? So they just lump everyone in with communism, right? So you would think, oh man, the right, they're gonna be super pro Ukraine and super against Russia, and nope, they're all like, I don't know, maybe Putin's a nice guy. It really does make you think like, okay, what kind of dirt you got on these guys, right? Where's the PP tape, right? But not going to do that Russiagate shit around here, but, it does make you wonder, like, how much dirt do they got on some of these right-wingers, right? Like Ted Cruz, right? Ugh. What kind of dirt do they got on Teddy Baby?
Absolutely. Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I don't think in terms of winning and losing.
the guy who brags about the crowd size of the insurrection doesn't think about things in terms of winning and losing. He's above it all, folks. He's above it all. I'm always in awe at the ability of people like Donald Trump to say these things with a straight fucking face. It's unbelievable. One of the most petty and competitive human beings to have ever been alive. I don't think about things in terms of winning and losing. I'm above this.
I don't think in terms of winning and losing.
Can you say if you want Ukraine or Russia to win this war?
I want everybody to stop dying.
And that's what this is exactly what we were hearing from a certain somebody in our chat, right? I just want peace. War is hell. I just want peace. That's all I care about. I just want peace. I'm an angel sent from above. Can't we all just get along? It's one of the most disingenuous, dishonest, disgusting uses of peace I think I've ever seen in my life, man. Could you imagine? Right? This is like saying, if you you're getting beat up by the cops and you throw a punch, right? Oh, you should have de-escalated. You should have de-escalated. You can't defend yourself. Defending yourself, if you're going to use violence to defend yourself, well, then you're just as bad as the people that are hurting you. Because violence is wrong and war is wrong. So just let the bullies of the world walk all over you with glee and laugh and spit in your fucking face, right? I'm morally superior because I refuse to fight back, right?
They're dying.
But you won't say that you want Ukraine to win.
Absolutely.
Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I don't think in terms of winning and losing.
I just don't understand how people can walk away from this man confident that, that's my guy. That's my guy. But, it leaves you speechless. It really does leave you speechless and like shaking your head. Regiment was shot. Dead bodies and wounded are left. Our sons ask for help. So the Russian government, Russian propagandists would like you to believe that the Russian people are totally 100% behind this. And that they believe that this is a just sacrifice, that this is worthy of expending lives, and that they're proud, to sacrifice their life and proud to be a mother or a daughter or of one of these soldiers, right? They just love it. Of course, that's not the case. Of course, these mothers and these girlfriends and these wives are hearing the reports of their loved ones getting ripped to shreds, and there's no recourse for them. There's no the government ignore. You're not allowed to put your story. This woman that we're about to see her door was likely knocked on by Russian police, and she might have been punished for releasing this statement that we're going to see, this heartbreaking statement. It's heartbreaking.
A video has been circulated on social media, showing what appears to be a wife of a mobilized Russian soldier asking for help to save her husband. In the video, an unnamed woman with a toddler in her hand is asking for help to rescue her husband and other soldiers of the 109th Regiment who asked to be evacuated. Speaking in Russian, the woman claimed that 9 survived soldiers of the 109th Regiment need to be evacuated. The regiment was shot. There are very few of them left. Boys, our husbands, someone's sons, fathers of our children are asking for help. They are asking to be evacuated. They are sitting on the positions. There are 9 of them left. They are asking for help among the corpses. There are wounded. The wounded, of course, do not receive any medical help. Please help, the woman said. She stressed that the 109th Regiment's soldiers were sent to an offensive operation without any equipment and ammunition.
Я жена мобилизована. Обращаюсь ко всем за помощью. 109-й полк был брошен на штурм без какого-либо оборудования, без какого-либо снаряжения. Полк обстреляли, их осталось совсем очень. Их осталось совсем очень мало. Мальчишки, наши мужья, чьи-то сыновья, отцы наших детей просят помощи. Просят, чтобы их эвакуировали, потому что они сидят на позиции. Их там осталось, наверное, человек 9. И просят помощи. Среди трупов есть раненые. Раненым, естественно, не оказывается никакая медицинская помощь. Помогите, пожалуйста. Прошу всех неравнодушных распространить мою просьбу.
Terrible stuff. Terrible stuff. I beseech the Russian people to organize, to follow my three-step. It works everywhere. The three-step program to create political change works everywhere, even in places that aren't exactly democracies. If you inform yourself and you join together in an organization, and then you put in the work, you can change shit. It's a little different though, that, you know, if you get caught, you get several years in jail, maybe even longer if you're the more effective you are in fighting this tyranny. So, you know, if I was in Russia personally, I would leave. I would leave. I don't think I would fight to change Russia. I think I would leave. So it's really hard for me to tell somebody that that's what they should do, but I can tell you, I do think the one thing that Putin is scared more of than NATO is the Russian people. And that's pretty obvious to me that he is. I mean, that's the whole reason why we're not calling this a war, right? Because he's terrified of what the Russian people will do to him if they, you know, if they truly grasp the horror of what Putin has accomplished. He's terrified. So just a real quick clip here. Another angle from that fire, the bombing in Luhansk. Once again, this is a military target. This is not a hospital or an apartment building. It's a legitimate military target, and you know, Ukraine hit it with precision. One more time. Hear the music. That's a pretty funky song. I like it. I like that jam. I mean, it's pretty appropriate to show this. I better show this. You know, if we're going to talk about Ukraine, I got to show a little bit of Zelensky here. Quote: "Invaders are already ready for defeat." You know, he's just saying, look, what we've noticed, Wagner is giving up, and we don't, you know, we don't even have to really push push the topic. They're giving up. Of course, it's fair to say that this is, you know, pro-Ukrainian propaganda, right? This is kind of the head of state, right? So everything with a grain of salt here, but I think, you know, it's appropriate to at least, you know, show what he's saying here. Loud.
Намагання обійти санкції, що введені для обмеження ресурсів агресії.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Friday that mentally Russian soldiers had lost the war and that Ukraine needed to turn that into the reality of their physical retreat. In their minds, the occupiers are already ready for defeat. They have already lost this war in their minds. We must put daily pressure on them so that their sense of defeat turns into their retreat, their mistakes, their losses, Zelensky said in his evening daily address. Earlier on Friday, Ukraine reported small gains around the eastern battlefield city of Bakhmut, with a 2 kilometers gain around the city this week. Moscow acknowledged on Friday that its forces had fallen back north of Bakhmut after a new Ukrainian offensive. Zelensky said in an interview with European broadcasters published on Thursday that the long-awaited counteroffensive had...
Bro, is the trigger the fucking foot? There's a foot pedal as the trigger? That is wild. Dude, look at him fire this thing.
But its forces had fallen back north of Bakhmut after a new Ukrainian offensive. Zelensky said in an interview with European broadcasters published on Thursday that the long-awaited counteroffensive had yet to start. In his Friday address, Zelensky promised to provide Ukrainian forces with more weaponry without specifying the type.
Перетворювалась на їхню втечу, їхні помилки, їхні втрати. Я дякую кожному і кожній, хто знищує ворога. Дякую всім, хто, попри будь-які складнощі, повертає Україні нашу землю. Готуємось додати вам, воїни, ще більше зброї, ще більше можливостей, щоб подолати агресора та відновити мир. Говорив сьогодні із прем'єр-міністром.
I can't speak Ukrainian, and they did not provide subtitles, so I don't know. Chem Goblin, help us out if you're still there. No, I'm kidding, Chem Goblin. You don't have to. All right, here we go. Final video of the day. We got to get that map update. What? We don't have no... we gotta... There's going to be one from reporting from Ukraine soon. There's got to be one. All right, let's see if we can get a Dennis update. Yep, Dennis is over here 17 minutes ago. Man, I tell you, like clockwork. Like clockwork with these guys. All right, let's get our map update for the day from your boy Dennis instead of reporting from Ukraine. No biggie. I love them both. I love them both, you know. Make sure you subscribe to Atlas VPN. Also, I'm noticing my internet is having a lot of problems with the upload right now. So you might see a few dropped frames here and there. It's kind of glitching out, but we'll make it through. All right, let's get our map update.
It's a west part on the front lines, and we know that Russians continue to retreat. And let's switch to the topographic map. Here we go. You may see that Ukraine took control over the heights in this region and also over here near to the lake. However, today Prigozhin said that Ukraine took control over those heights. The elevation over here is around 300 feet over the Bakhmut elevation. It means that if Wagner continue to use the anti-drone systems, we still may do the surveillance using those heights, and also we may put some sort of the weaponry to target the Russian positions more precise also inside the Bakhmut city. And now let's go to the timeline. So it happened day before yesterday, it was yesterday, and it is today. So our guys advanced over here as well on the south, as well as over here. Totally during the 4 days, South Ukraine was able to liberate around 20 square kilometers of the land. And before we continue with more awesome news and my personal forecast about the situation in Bakhmut and other rockets. Russia lost 3 colonels. They're the commanders of the 4th Motorized Brigade and the commander of the 2nd Brigade.
Colonels.
Also one of the colonels.
We're talking about colonels, folks. Colonels. We're not talking about popcorn, okay? We're talking about military hierarchy, okay? That 3 of them? What? How do you fuck that up? Like the entire, like the United States lost like two during the entire World War II, right? Like 3 in just one go, just one day, 3 of them gone? What?
Was severely wounded. Totally, Russia lost around 20 military men out there. We don't have the videos, however, but the information is coming from the official resource, so for now I trust it. As you can see, Klishivka is a little hidden behind this hill over here. That is why I think that Ukraine may use this direction for continuation of the attack, partially touching Andriivka village. If we take Klishivka and move towards Opetne, Bakhmut would be partially encircled, and the Russian forces in this area would be just cut. Again, the popular Russian military blogger Prigozhin recorded one more video today. He even got the map, and I listened and watched his video that is quite long, it's 17 minutes. Again, he continued.
2 months? You still think 2 months, Chem Goblin? I'm gonna give him a month and a half. I'm gonna give him a month and a half, man. I mean, how do you is the reason probably the hierarchy is different? There's positions higher than colonel in the Russian military. Okay. But do you think maybe the reason why Putin has stayed silent is that he is ragingly pissed at Prigozhin? Could that be it?
To complain about the Russian regular army. He also called in a way the Russian soldiers to not obey the orders from the Russian leaders. He said that he hopes that the Russian soldiers will see the enemy, and the enemy is the management of the Russian army. As you can see,
this motherfucker over here directly calling for soldiers to mutiny against the Russian government. Putin has to respond to this, dude. He has to respond to this.
See, the degree of this conflict between Wagner army and the Russian regular army is very high, and it's not fake. It's not played by Prigozhin or Shoigu. They have this conflict because in general this open situation is not good for the Russian Federation. That is why I trust that they have this conflict. As you can see, Prigozhin has the military map out there, and he showed the possible scenario of the Ukrainian offensive action in Bakhmut, and this scenario is not positive for the Wagner army. So he thinks that Ukraine will move from the flanks to Krasnohora to Klishivka over here, trying to encircle the Bakhmut city. It will take a while since Wagner has some of the forces in that region. Also, Ukraine will advance from this position from the Soledar, taking the city or the town back to Ukraine and cutting Russians from the north flank. After Ukrainian forces are done with Bakhmut, they will advance towards Popasna and towards other places like Lysychansk and other directions. According to Prigozhin, Russian Army Command cares more about small villages.
Did you see the like 6 months ago there was an image of Ukrainian, I think it was in Kherson. No, it was a Russian in Kherson, and he was like he was like trying to be inconspicuous, but he was dressed in like a full Adidas tracksuit. You know, and like people were like from their window were like taking pictures of like, look at this Russian over here, right? He's all like trying to be like nonchalant with his fucking like full like head to toe Adidas tracksuit, like I'm not Russian.
Than controlling the heights in this area, and the heights are much more important compared to the villages. And he said that they've lost the critical position here near to the lake over here, and Ukrainians already took control over the hills that are very high, as I told you.
Still very, very high rank, you know, definitely not a, you know, regular frontline soldier, right? But yeah, thank you for that clarification. Another siren. Please be safe, Chem Goblin. Make sure you make your way to the shelter. You got to take those seriously.
And they guarantee the surveillance in this area and also in the Bakhmut, even without the drones. So Prigozhin is kind of pessimistic about his own future and the future of his Wagner forces in Bakhmut, and he calls for Shoigu to do something. But again, he writes the messages, the letters, and those letters being cancelled in administration of the Shoigu. Also, he recalled the Soviet times, the Second World War, and Stalin's regime. He said that Stalin got rid of the army commander at some point, that he understood that he is not effective.
That's why I support this effort. We can't let Putin and Russia get away with this. You know, and I'm not saying that from like a moral perspective. I'm saying that from a geopolitical perspective. If Russia learns a lesson that all I need to do is threaten nuclear weapons and, you know, go after easy targets, the West won't push back because they're too afraid of me, you know, throwing a nuke around or something. That would result in an incredible amount of negative consequences for the world. Right. And yeah, okay, we got this argument. Well, you don't have a right to tell Russia what to do. You know, you're the West. You're Mr. Privileged, the West. Absolutely. I don't have a right to tell Russia what to do. But you know, the fact of the matter is that we're on one earth. We're on one globe. We're stuck here together. There are power dynamics, and not acting is just as powerful a message that sets just as powerful a precedent as acting, as pushing back against this Russian militarism. It's a very complicated situation, but what isn't complicated is that countries deserve autonomy and they deserve independence, Britain, UK, if they so choose, right? Northern Ireland, hello, Northern Ireland, right? If they so choose. But on the topic of nuclear countries, Pakistan, yeah, that's a whole other can of worms, isn't it? Also means the country with nukes can do this. This will also make other countries want to have nukes now. Yeah, if Russia were to get away with the nuclear, what do they call it? Nuclear blackmail. Yeah, no, it'd be like, okay, you know, North Korea starts I mean, who we kidding here? North Korea can't even feed their soldiers, so I'm not too worried about anything. But they might get the wrong idea. China might get the wrong idea, but it's tough. It's tough because it's like, does the West have a right to say no, right, and say we're not going to let you do this? Does the Western Alliance have that right? And I think yes, right? They do. They do have that right. Nothing worth. I think the solution should be further denuclearization, not increased nuclear proliferation. Right? The short-term gain of Ukraine having a nuke, okay, right? But nukes. The more people threaten to use nukes and then don't use nukes, I feel like the more likely eventually someone's going to use the nuke, right? And I want to avoid the use of the nukes. Call me crazy.
It seems like he wants to do the same with Gerasimov and Shoigu. About the Ukrainian counterattack in that area, it's not the one that we are all waiting for. No, we use quite limited forces in that area, but little by little Ukraine sends more reinforcements to that area because they see that the Russian front lines start to collapse in that area. So really Wagner took control over the most part of the Bakhmut city, but they could be just trapped over there. Yes, it's quite optimistic scenario, but I'm sure that it will be done like that. The Russian forces are quite exhausted and they cannot achieve anything right now. Yes, they still fight in some...
No, but we should nuke hurricanes, That was the one thing Trump might have had a good point on. We might want to drop a little fat boy on a hurricane. I'm just saying, we haven't actually done it. So how do we know it doesn't work? Right? He's just asking questions.
Scientists.
Like you're in a bunker. I'm in a bunker like with a nuclear button.
City, but Prigozhin himself said that it's the useless fight because in any case they will be encircled. Alright, let's go to the Russian territory, to Bryansk Oblast. Today Russia lost 4 aircraft over there. 2 of the Mi-8 helicopters and the very advanced fighter jet that Russia has, the Sukhoi Su-35. Yes, they also...
Okay, I'm just going to speed this up a little bit here, just 125.
Have Sukhoi Su-57, but that is more or less prototype. They do not use it in this war, but Sukhoi Su-35 they use. Also, they've lost the advanced Sukhoi Su-34, the fighter jet, and also it is used as the bomber. So what happened there? There were reports of the Russian attacks on Chernigiv Oblast. Over here in this area, they're cutting the roads and they destroy bridges. The reports were for 2 days consecutive.
Dennis gonna get canceled. You hear that? You hear that?
What happened there? There were reports of the Russian attack and also it is used as the bomber. So what happened there? There were reports of the Russian attacks on Chernigiv Oblast. Over here in this area, they're cutting the roads and they destroy bridges. The reports were for 2 days consecutive, and today Russia launched 2 Mi-8 helicopters that have the special radars to provide the interference for the Ukrainian air defense systems. Those helicopters seized the Ukrainian air defense, helping the Russian jets to perform their missions. And today something went wrong and all of those aircraft were shot down by the Ukrainian air defense, I guess. But there are some other versions. Russia says that there were some of the people who entered the Russian territory with portable...
Chem Goblin calling out Dennis. You're not even pronouncing it right. I don't think Europe is going to do a Marshall Plan, but I do think that they're going to, they want Ukraine back in business ASAP. The grain, right? It's all about that grain. I had no idea how much grain Ukraine was providing the entire world. But yeah, especially Europe. So yeah, I don't know if it's going to be a Marshall Plan, but it is going to be, hey, do you want us to build you a farm? I got a tractor sitting right here. I'd love to send you.
Manpads. I would say it's not that easy to shut down the Sukhoi Su-35 using the manpad. The helicopter, yes, but the fighter jets, not. What is interesting that no pilot was able to eject from the aircraft. From the helicopter, we understand that it's impossible, but also from the fighter jets, they were unable to eject because the rocket may explode just in the front part of the cockpit, cutting the cockpit and the front part airplane into the small pieces. And to prepare the skilled pilot who will fly the Sukhoi Su-35 or a Sukhoi Su-34 or even the helicopter, it takes a long time. And it's the biggest disaster for the Russian Air Force in the modern-day Russian history. I have some videos how those airplanes and helicopters flying down, but you may find them only on my Telegram channel. You may check it out in the video description below. Also today there were several explosions in Luhansk again. This is the building that was hit, and Russian side already said that Ukraine used the Storm Shadow rocket, or cruise missile you may call it. And they say that this building is the residential one, but no, you can see lots of the Russian forces, so it's their barracks. The building was not totally demolished, just one part sustained dramatic damage. Schweiz gibt grünes Licht für Waffenlieferungen an Ukraine. Switzerland gives the green light to supply the weaponry to Ukraine. The supplies will be done not directly to Ukraine, however, but they will be done to the allies of Switzerland, let's say to NATO countries, that may replace their own weaponry that they may transfer to Ukraine with the Swiss-made weapons. Actually, I didn't expect that from the Switzerland, and they produce lots of the ammunition.
The News Underground is a news resource for you to acquire the knowledge you need to create political change. Spectrum, Sinclair. You talking about the ZX Spectrum? I love that console.
Rounds, shells, and the vehicles. Finally, I guess even Swiss-made weaponry may appear in Ukraine. It was voted by the two chambers of the Swiss Parliament and the National Council, and this will allow the future transfer of military equipment to Ukraine. And Germany came out with a huge military help for Ukraine, record 2.7 billion euro. The biggest package from America was in February this year, and it was around $2 billion. So here we see that Germany created even bigger package. We'll receive lots of the tanks, armored vehicles, and wheeled Hotwises, IRIS systems, and many more. Obviously, United States in general help more because they split their packages like $300 million and $800 million, so each month they give some packages to Ukraine. And here we have the single one, but it's huge. I think the support of Ukraine will continue in any case. Alright, there are some rumors that Lukashenko, the self-proclaimed leader of Belarus, doesn't feel very well. He was delivered to the hospital. After the parade on the Red Square, he returned back to Minsk. He visited the monument to the fallen...
Is this a picture of him like 5 seconds before having to say, I gotta go, man? Why? What's wrong? What's wrong? Look, I just gotta go, dude. I got something going on, bro. I gotta go. Okay, look, I gotta go. Okay, well, we don't have time to discuss this. I just gotta go. All right. He looks like he's not so fresh, if you know what I mean.
Soldiers, and after that no one saw him. At least he doesn't appear in the publics any longer. So maybe those are just the rumors that he is sick, but it could be Novichok. President Zelensky today visited Italy.
You know what I think? I think he was there for the military parade. I think he saw the one squeaky little tank and he's like, I gotta get out of here. This is embarrassing. You know, I can't, you know, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like this is some mighty display.
There's the rumors that he is sick, but it could be Novichok. President Zelensky today visited Italy, and he also went to Vatican. After his visit with the Pope, Zelensky got interesting comments. There is nothing to talk about with Putin. With all of the respect to His Holiness, we don't need moderators, we need just peace. He added, commenting the Vatican's peace initiatives. President Zelensky believes that the future agreement with Russia should be based on a peaceful formula put forward by Ukraine. So here we see that Vatican wanted to promote the ceasefire and the peace agreement that mainly Russia wants nowadays. Actually, it's very easy to finish this war and to achieve that peace agreement. Russia just needs to withdraw.
Well, let me just repeat myself. I'm really sick of the so-called people, you know, above it all. I just want peace. I just want peace. You know, like how blind do you have to be to just to look at this conflict of Russia invading Ukraine and just go, you know, I think both sides kind of, you know, need to chill out. I think both sides need to have a sit down. Really? There's no difference there. Oh, you know, okay, you guys had your it's like the adult, like, you know, some two kids fighting over a sandwich, right? And you know, like, okay, well, yeah, oh, but he kicked me, and oh, she pulled my hair, and blah 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 blah. It's like, okay, well, whatever, it's okay. We're not going to listen to either side. You're both wrong. You both get a timeout. It's like, that's not the issue at all, man. We're talking, Ukraine is defending its existence, and Russia is defending Putin's ego. And the United States is taking advantage of a discount proxy war where they get to, you know, put smear egg all over the Russian bear's face and get away with it on a discount. The military industrial complex loves this. Right? Oh, both sides. Oh, everyone just calm down.
All their forces from Ukraine. That's it. And we are not going to attack the Russian territory. We never wanted.
No
Nevertheless, this meeting happened and it's good. And we got the information from the Bild that the next stop for Zelensky is Germany. So we see that Zelensky visited some of the European countries 1 week ago, and now he continues his new trip. And I do not expect the Ukrainian counterattack to start without the main commander.
In the midweek stream, we showed a pro-Russian protest in Germany. There's a really, really strong pro-Russian voice in Germany, and a visit from Zelensky will definitely help that a little bit. Fight that narrative.
President Zelensky tweeted that he is already in Berlin. About the Kinzhal missile that was hit by the Patriot system, we got the information from our military command and from the American sources that Russia tried to use the Kinzhal hypersonic missile to demolish the Patriot system, but it appeared that the situation turned upside down for the Russians. And Kinzhal rocket was intercepted by the Patriot system.
They fired a missile at the Patriot system, and the Patriot system fucking shot it down. I'm sorry, that's a good one.
Bad news for Medvedev. Almost all of the alcohol-producing companies decided to stop sales in Russia. And there are many popular brands in Russia. Obviously, Russians outside Moscow or St. Petersburg, they drink vodka that they make themselves. But I believe that Medvedev really likes good alcohol. My friends, I'm gonna keep you updated on situation.
There you go, folks. There it is. There it is, folks. There it is. That's your News Underground. That's your News Underground for the day. That's all I got for you today. You know, we had some fun. Big props to you, YouTube. We're going to let you go, YouTube, and I'm going to close out the stream. Thank you so much, YouTube.